Are you moved by the rhythm, by the beat of the percussion, by the strum of the guitar, by the sounds of wind instruments? Is it rock, reggae, rap, or R&B that makes you move? Or could it be the magnetic pulse of neo-soul, jazz, or opera? Yes, opera. Today you will have an auditory taste of eclectic sounds from jazz to opera. Stay with us for this and more, coming up next on Black Perspective.
This is an NBC 30 Public Affairs presentation, Black Perspective.
Welcome to Black Perspective. I'm Linnet Carty. So are you moved by the magnetic pulse of music? Can the right music make you have chill bumps, bring you to tears, or have you dancing on air? Today we'll discuss both jazz and opera, and joining me for the first segment is world-renowned jazz flautist, SherriWinston. Welcome, Sherry. How are you?
Well, thank you so much for having me, Linnet. I'm thrilled to be here today.
It's a pleasure to have you. I've listened to you for many years, and you are just awesome, so thank you so much for coming. So tell our folks at home a little bit about SherriWinston. Where are you from, and when did you first fall in love with the flute?
Well, I'm originally from Corona, Queens, presently living in Bethel, Connecticut, and I've been here for the last 20 years, but I still consider myself a New Yorker. I guess all New Yorkers do. And I would say the flute picked me. I did not pick the flute. I was a tomboy growing up and wanted to play the drums. But being fair, in public school, they lined us up alphabetically, and my name being Winston, I was at the end of the list. So, of course, all the drums and the good things, quote unquote, were gone by the time they got to me. And the two things that were left was a flute and a tuba. And I looked at the tuba. I think the tuba was bigger than I was at the time. And I said, well, I don't know what a flute is, but I think I better take the flute. And that's how I wound up with the flute.
Okay, so what did you do? College, was that your thing? You're going to go for music when you went away to school?
Well, you know, I had a dilemma because I loved cooking and I wanted to be a master chef. So it was a battle between music and cooking. And thank God music won out. Although I still cook and I've written cookbooks and I'm very involved with cooking.
And been on Emerald Live on top of that, right?
Right, that was a little frustrating because I kind of wanted to be cooking with Emerald, but I was playing with Emerald instead.
So tell us a little bit about some of your excursions. I know you've played all over the world. Where's been the most exciting for you, most challenging for you?
Well, I think one of the most fun things, I love the islands. I have several timeshares in Barbados, but I played for the World Conference of Mayor in Jamaica, which I know you have ties in Jamaica, and that was wonderful. We played an hour and we got to stay for 4 days. And just recently we were in Virgin Gorda, and I got to do some scuba diving while I was there, and of course I extended my stay and did some of the things that I love to do. I love the water, so it was a perfect match for me.
Great. When did you go for it all? And by that, I mean, I know you're in corporate America. You can share a little bit about that if you'd like. Working the old 9 to 5, but something made you give it all up.
Well, you know, I was in corporate America for 13 years, and I went from social work to working for record companies. That was closer to what I really wanted to do, be in the music business. I learned a lot while I was at various record companies, but like a lot of people today, I was let go, and at that point in my life I had to make a decision. Should I live my dream, which was performing all the time for my living, or should I try to go back and find another record company job? And something just said, you know, you're of a certain age and you better go and do what you love to do. So at that point I made a decision. If I spend as much time as I spend in this office on myself, I know that I will be able to have a real viable career in music. And that was 20 years ago.
Wow. So I think we're going to hear a little bit about, we can see some of it. There you are right there, doing your thing. Where is this? Tell us a little bit about this.
This is in New York City at Rockefeller Center. It was during Christmas time, so we were kind of chilly out there. It was early in the morning and it was on the Today Show.
Right.
So it was my first time on the Today Show, and that was one of my most favorite jobs, because you got the audience out there, and you know, it's like play. So you've got to come to the party and play. And I mean, you've got to be perfect. There's no do-overs. It's whatever you've trained for all of these years. it's going to really come down to that performance.
So talk to the folks at home. I know there's a lot of musicians out there that are thinking, I've got a 9-to-5, but music is my real passion. What would you tell them? How should they go about it?
Well, I think the first thing to do is to hold on to your job and to do music on the side until you build a strong base of clients that you feel comfortable with, clients that like you, that will hire you in the future. And you have to get a mailing list. There's so many things that you have to, an email list. You've got to really have a good fan base. You should have at least one CD out before you make the plunge. And know that you're known either regionally, locally, or preferably nationally. And once you get that, you really have the basis. If you have had a national release with a record, you've got a basis to go out there and try to get started. And then, I mean, the work does not end. For me, the work is still a 12-hour day, at least minimally, and you really have to put your heart and soul into it. But you have to believe in yourself. You have to have at least one other person. I've always had my mom at my side who believed, and my family, in what I was doing and told me to go for it. So you've got to have some familial or some kind of support behind you.
And be dedicated to it.
Right, you've got to save some money because there are going to be some bumps in the road, and there are times when, you know, you're very close to not being able to pay your mortgage or your rent, and you've got to be able to get through that when times are slow, especially in times like this. So I wouldn't tell anyone to just jump out there at this point, but I think you know when the time is right, and it's scary for everybody. I mean, as secure as you can feel as a musician, as an artist, there's always going to be a certain amount of insecurity, and you've got to have a belief system to know that somehow, if God has helped you to get this far, that you're going to get through it.
Tell us a little bit about the music seminars that you run and how local musicians and artists can really benefit from these seminars.
Well, as a matter of fact, I'm going to be doing a music business seminar in Springfield. And people can go up to my website and find out all the details about it because we're putting it in place right now. But my music business seminar really tells someone how to start from the beginning, putting a band together, getting a repertoire, finding clients that can hire you, how to price yourself as an artist, how to present yourself as an artist, not only on stage but on paper, how to get that bio and CD together that's going to impress somebody. You have to make a decision whether you're going to go to corporate America for your jobs, in other words, playing events for corporations, for private groups, for not-for-profits, or are you going to try to do clubs, which are not necessarily, not necessarily where the money is, right? Are you going to try to do concerts? Are you going to try to do a combination? Are you going to be a wedding band, event band? You know, there's so many different areas that you can be in this industry. Can you do all of it? Are you versatile enough? And that's your best bet, if you can do all of it.
Okay, now tell us a little bit about this clip that we're watching here.
Now, this is the Clifford Brown Jazz Festival in Delaware, and this was a fabulous concert. I was told it was going to be about 500 people there, and I took CDs to accommodate 500 people. When we got there, the police had closed off the streets because there were 8,000 people in the audience, and that was thrilling. When I came on stage, people started screaming, and it was to hear 8,000 people screaming. You can't imagine for an artist what that makes you feel like. And I have an electric flute where I can go out into the audience, so I was just dying to get out there. But they had us fenced in so that you would literally have to climb over the fence. And if it was a small fence, I would have gone over it, believe me. But it was a big fence, there was no way for me to get over it. So I was sort of contained, and I went and played as close as I could to the audience. But it wasn't close enough for me because I really like to walk around and play to people and see the expression on their faces. And little children, you know, they are so thrilled because they're looking to see where is the sound coming from. And I have a microphone similar to yours, so I've got a pack on, and I'm playing, and I'm sort of looking at people and playing, and like you're doing right now, they're smiling, and it's like they can't believe I'm playing to them, and I just enjoy that.
That interaction.
That interaction is everything to me. And when I can make someone smile, or if I catch them off guard, if they're talking to their neighbor and all of a sudden they turn around and I'm there, and it's like they jump and they start laughing. So that to me is just wonderful. So that concert was fabulous. I mean, 8,000 people is just, it's thrilling. It's just thrilling.